Governor Pete Ricketts is one of those leaders signing the letter, and he joins me now. Governor, I don't know if you could see the signs, but they are getting tough in Canada on those trucker protesters. You know, provinces all over Canada, not just in the West, but including Quebec, are phasing out the vax mandates. Just as that is happening, Trudeau is doubling down on these vax mandates for truckers. Why isn't he compromising as the rest of provinces? Why does he choose this heavy-handed approach to deal with this situation?
Well, this really seems to be inexplicable because as we see around our country, the number of cases is plummeting, and we know that inflation is running wild. We just hit a 40-year high of 7.5%. Even President Biden is blaming some of this on supply chain issues. And so why he would make this problem worse by requiring vaccines, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, what we would like to see here in Nebraska is that we open up those supply lines. You know, families are being hurt by inflation. It's very corrosive. And one of the steps the president could take, working with Prime Minister Trudeau, would be to reinstate the vaccine exemptions, allow those truckers to start moving their goods, and that would help us be able to fill grocery shelves.
You know, again, I don't want to just focus on Trudeau. This is much bigger than just Trudeau alone. But not only is he playing hardball with the truckers when, in fact, other provinces are getting rid of the max, he could compromise and say, we're going to phase them out for truckers as well. But earlier this week, he actually accused a Jewish member of parliament of being sympathetic to Nazis in her sympathy with the truckers. I mean, the kind of rhetoric he's using matches this kind of hardball behavior on the streets, and it's just very unbecoming of a prime minister.
Yeah, I really don't understand it. And again, you just look at what's going on with regard to how we're managing this virus. It's really unnecessary. I mean, we certainly encourage people to get vaccines here in my state. We publish data about how to help keep you out of the hospital. But I have always opposed vaccine mandates. And here in Nebraska, we've weathered the pandemic better than just about anybody else. Politico says we've got the best pandemic response. And we've done that without vaccine passports, statewide mask mandates, or lockdowns. We educated people about how to handle the virus, and they did the right thing. And we've let people make their own choices. And it's not clear why President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau couldn't do the same thing with regard to the areas of responsibility they have, because we've been very successful here in Nebraska. I bet the same things would work for them.
Well, we should mention, by the way, that there are still a number of states that are suing the federal government here for vax mandates on federal contractors and of course, all of the healthcare workers, et cetera. By the way, again, we are looking at live pictures while we're talking to you. We have live pictures up on the right side of the screen where it does seem that a number of truckers have actually left on their own accord and been, rather than been towed out of that area. You know, we need truckers here, Governor, in the United States. We have a labor shortage. I'm just wondering if you've reached out to any Canadian truckers saying, look, come on here. We've got plenty of room for you in the States.
Well, certainly we would welcome any Canadian who wants to become an American and certainly become a Nebraskan. You know, we value freedom here in Nebraska. That's how we've managed this pandemic. And again, why we've had such a great outcome here in our state is because we have valued freedom, as well as taking steps to slow down the virus and really using common sense, which seems to be in short supply, both in the Biden administration and obviously what's going on with regard to this vaccine mandate in Canada as well.
Yeah, well, as we've seen in Canada, various provinces giving up the vax mandates despite Trudeau's obstinance, there's really no other word for it, of what he's doing up in Canada. We're seeing the same happen here in the United States. We just had Boston among the latest Democrat-run cities to get rid of a vax mandate, or at least phase it out, announce it's being phased out. Is this kind of the last gasp, you think, of these the power push by politicians to take control? I mean, is it difficult for these politicians who've taken so much control during the pandemic to give it up?
Well, again, you wonder why it's taken them so long. You know, we ended our emergency with regards to the pandemic in June of last year here in Nebraska. And now we see states like California finally coming around to recognize, this is a virus. It's never going to go away. We have to learn to manage it. And managing it with heavy-handed government tactics, like we've seen some states here in the United States do, or what's going on in Canada with these truckers, that's not productive. That doesn't work long term. What we've done here in Nebraska is focus on educating people, bringing people along, and that is a long-term strategy. When you get people to participate voluntarily, you're going to be able to have a way to manage this virus for the long term. And again, it's nice to see states like California finally recognizing that this virus is never going to go away. We have to take a different approach, not a heavy-handed government approach, to being able to manage it.
Yeah. Governor Pete Ricketts, thank you very much for being here. Best of luck to you. It's been a long time. Hopefully we'll be out of it all soon. I appreciate it.